Hi, I'm Erik Linask here at Cloud Expo at the Javits Center in New York. And I'm talking now with Margaret Dawson from Hubspan. Margaret, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Erik.
So you were just telling me a few minutes ago, there's this sort of misconception about the cloud that people tend to have.
Yeah, I think people talk about the cloud, and it's happened at this show in several places, as if the cloud is an it itself. And the reality is the cloud is not a thing. It may be a consumption model, it's a great delivery model, but it in and of itself, it's not solving a business challenge. So companies still need to figure out, what is it that I need to do with IT to help my business? Maybe it's CRM, maybe it's an ERP upgrade, maybe it's a data center move. And the cloud becomes one of those options. You might do it yourself, you might use some managed service, on-premise, off-premise, or you go to the cloud and look at using the economic and technical benefits that brings.
So really, you were talking about people needing to develop cloud strategies rather than hop in a plane for the cloud.
Correct. So it's not the Wizard of Oz where you're going to go down the yellow brick road to the cloud. It has to be relevant to some business challenge that you're trying to solve.
Right. So how does the cloud factor into what Hubspan is doing? How's it part of your strategy?
So we've actually been a cloud-based platform, which we called Net Native many years ago, since 2000. And the challenge that we were trying to solve is helping companies collaborate more easily across other business communities. So supply chain, customers, strategic partners, global businesses, whatever. And we felt that building it on a Net Native platform had the scalability, the interoperability, and the fast time to market that most companies need. And we deliver that as a managed service because most people, when they're doing integration, it's very complex. And so managing it themselves becomes very difficult, even just managing the connections. So combining that cloud with managed services really takes that pain away from the customer, allows them to very quickly build these business community networks and get the ROI very quickly.
A lot of folks that I've been talking to recently, certainly here at this show, have either are fully managed service providers or at least heading in that direction. Is that, it seems to be a trend that really works well with the cloud model.
Oh, I think it's very compatible. Yeah, it's a symbiotic relationship because one of the reasons people go to the cloud is to not have the infrastructure on premise, right? To take advantage of the fact that you can build up a solution without anything impacting your infrastructure. And so having some level of service with that just goes very naturally. And a lot of the as-a-service solutions, especially the SaaS applications, often have more of a self-service front end, so it's not necessarily a managed service. But as you go through the different infrastructures, you go all the way to the full managed service. And for what we do in business integration, it works very well together.
Now, you mentioned Hubspan's been in the space for about a decade now. The cloud as a concept isn't new at all.
It is not new.
The cloud as a term is
yes.
new.
I thought, it's funny, I was just telling someone back in, even the early 90s, when we used to do presentations about the internet, if you remember early net presentations, we used the cloud. It was always the cloud up on the screen.
Right.
And, even in that day, people would say, well, what is that in the cloud? And so we used to talk about it, but it wasn't a market sector as it's described now. So you're right, it's not new. We called it whatever, the internet, the web, and that's really all it is. And so that kind of goes back to the fact that it's not a thing. It's a great way to leverage technology and deliver it, in a very cost-effective and fast way.
Why is there so much interest in the cloud now?
Well, I think it's a few things. One is that we've just, we're still coming out of a recession. And so I think that's the economic reality of what the cloud does. It's just perfect timing. And also it's been around. I think there's a natural inflection point or hype cycle, some people call it, that every kind of style or architecture or technology goes through. And I think cloud is very ripe for that because it has been around. And people are really looking for ways to minimize their capital outlay, but still be able to innovate and move forward with key technology solutions. So, all of those different economic and technical benefits it brings just makes it ripe for, all the reasons that we're seeing around globalization, increased collaboration, and economic reality.
Is cloud right for everybody?
I don't think so. I think you need to be really careful of your strategic approach to the cloud and why you're doing it. And I think this goes back to, what are your main IT and business challenges, and is the cloud the right way to answer that challenge? And I would really, and typically encourage people to take baby steps. So rather than looking at totally moving your entire infrastructure to the cloud, maybe you start with putting backup or some of your archive storage there. Maybe you use it for your QA environment. Maybe you do it for some very basic integration. Many of our customers start with maybe 1, 2 connections that are the most painful, maybe a couple customers that they really need to improve the relationship, and then they scale and grow from there. And that is the right way to look at the cloud.
How long until cloud becomes a part of mainstream business?
I think it's there. For a lot of businesses, they're using it in some way. I mean, you could say that everybody that has a website is in the cloud. But in terms of this new era of cloud that we talk about, there's some predictions that within the next 2 years, 15 to 20% of most market areas, so CRM for us, business process management, integration, you kind of look across the different technology markets, and there's different estimates, but 15 to 20% of those solutions would be delivered in the cloud. That's probably about right.
I look forward to catching up with you again to see where we are.
Thank you. It's great to meet you.
Talking here at Cloud Expo with Margaret Dawson from Hubspan. Thanks, Margaret.
Thank you.